The 18th of June, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
8 different families there, but that's what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, these were built a long time ago. This house is probably, I don't know, 40, maybe 40, over 40 years, I think.
Yeah, the only thing, in a sense, that I miss in it is I can't really. I'm not going to visit the kids because I don't want to be on the road in case of a siren when I'm driving to them.
Yeah, right. Travel is difficult.
Yeah, but traveling is an issue. You don't want to be stuck on a road. That's a pain to get over. Which has happened once when I was near their house. It happened. I was by them, and I was going to drive home, and just as I left the house, 2 blocks away, the siren went off, and I had to leave the car at that point. That was a while ago. That was not before. That was, one of those. You always had these Houthis who were always sending things around.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, that was more than a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, that wasn't during this situation. It was just other time when they weren't that frequent. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, Be'ezus Hashem, we're going to continue. Time of the low Amar Tanu. No, that looks like from Yom Base. We need the updated Maramakom. Mm-hmm. So we got over to Amar Base?
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, well. Okay. Oh, yeah, right. We read from Amar Rebbe Abba or Mamel. Lokasha. Hababori Habashchiv Meira. Oh, yeah. And Rashi didn't help us out with what's the svaras for each one. How does it work? Okay. All right. So, maybe the Gemora is going to explain now the Hemshech. Yeah. I think that's what the Gemora is going to do right now. So all we have to do is keep reading. So we started off with a kasha. We started off with a kasha that are we supposed to give back these documents that are found or not? And the answer came back from Reb Abba Bar Mamel. He says Lokasha Hababori Habash Chimera. So it seems like there's a different din for a matnas bori than there is for a matnas shchiv meira. And Rashi only told us how it is that we actually identify that the document is a matnas shchiv meira as opposed to a matnas bori. Rashi told us that it has this special wording to it that basically says that he's writing this because he's sick and he's on his deathbed, basically. So that we know is a matnas shchiv meira. It's not a matnas bori. But now we need to know what's the difference. Why should there be any difference in the din of giving it back between those two? So now the Gemara is going to explain us the difference. So we're up to Masnisin Diktani.
Masnisin Diktani. Our Mishnah, which teaches by implication, Ha Amar Tanu, that if the benefactor said to give the document to its designated beneficiary, notnin, we give it. Bishchiv Mara. This refers to the will of a seriously ill person. Such a will may be returned to the beneficiary. Devar mihadad hu, because the benefactor can legally retract it, and consequently returning it will not enable the beneficiary to perpetuate a fraud.
Yeah. Okay.
That we say, my Ika Lememar. What is there to say? Dilma ki sava ma ikara lahai. Maybe the benefactor first wrote this will to this person. Im lich velo yachava nihale, then reconsidered and did not give it to him. V'hadar kasva leinish acharina, and he afterwards he wrote another document to another person, v'havei nihale, and he gave it to him.
This is what Rashi was telling us yesterday.
Right?
So he yeah.
Ka hadar bei macha mehahu di hava ni hala. Our concern is that perhaps the beneficiary now wishes to retract the gift that he gave to the second person, and he therefore tells us to return the will to the first person.
Right. And this is what Rashi was describing in the Rashi of yesterday, Lo Yachzir, on the bottom of Yud Tes Amud Aleph. He was describing exactly this case that the Gemora is now laying out. So basically, the bottom line is that as a result of this story, that the Gemora is this possible story that the Gemora is laid out over here, we see that it's not so pashut for us to say, oh well, if the benefactor authorized us to give it back to the beneficiary that's stated on this document, so what could be wrong with that? Well, let's give it back to him. So the Gemara says, oh no, it's not so pashut, because maybe this person, the reason why it was found in the shuk is because the document was the benefactor decided to never give it to this guy, and in fact he wrote a second document and gave it to Jew number 2 instead of giving it to this guy, Jew number 1, and now what's happened is this guy, just like he deciding to give it to Jew number one. He decided to give it to Jew number two. Now he's flip-flopping again. So we don't really care about the fact that he's flip-flopping all the time. That's the type of guy he is. But the problem is that he actually ended up giving the document number two to Jew number two before he decided to flip-flop. So really the halacha is that the property belongs to Jew number two because he received the document. And now the benefactor doesn't have he's not really allowed to now make out to give that document number one to Jew number one, because he's already given this property away to Jew number two. Can't change your minds once you gave the guy the Jew number two the document that gives him the right to own the property. Okay. Now, what we would need to know is what's the difference between a matnas bori and a matnas shchid. Why wouldn't this be a concern in both cases? Let's see if we have any Rashi over here. I don't think we have any Rashi yet. Oh, what happened to Phil?
Phil, you're muted.
I'm not muted.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I can hear you, but I see your little red microphone. That's weird.
It was on before. I don't know
Wow.
it was last time, but it's not there, the mic. We did the first one.
Here we have a case of a computer that's making a mistake.
Oy vey, what's the world coming to?
Oh boy. Okay. So now the Gemora continues. Iba matnas bori. Oh, so now I think the Gemora is going to explain us. So why is this going to be a difference for a matnas bori as opposed to a matnas shchid meira?
Ibamatnas bori yehava lei. If he gave the property to the second person by means of a healthy person's gift document, leis lei pit seda. The second person will not lose anything as a result of our returning the will to the first, for the following reason. Dechi afka tarte. When both documents are produced in court, bas raisa dacha. The gift document, which is dated last, will prevail, and its beneficiary will receive the property. Deha hadar be mika maisa. Since its later date proves that the benefactor retracted the earlier will. Thus, the recipient of the property as a gift cannot be defrauded by the return of the will.
Okay. I don't know how that could be, but okay, the Gemara said it. Fine.
It's a strange discussion, because why are we assuming that both documents come to court?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, each one of them is vying for this property. Each one claims that he's the true owner of the property. And not only that, each one is bringing the document that the benefactor signed over to him. But
You're saying that's a presumption that both potential beneficiaries are actively involved here?
Yeah, that's a reasonable assumption, right? In other words, there's going to be a disagreement over here between Jew number one and Jew number two. Each one is going to say he's the true owner of the property, and it's going to end up in the Beis Din. No, unless one of them says, "Oh yeah, you must be right, I must be wrong. Okay, you can have the property." I don't think that's right. I mean, in that normally a person that's holding a star mechira that shows that shows that he's entitled to the property, he's not going to back down, right? So both of them are holding such a star. So neither one of them are going to back down. It's going to end up in the Beis Din. And so the Gemora is confident that when it does end up in Beis Din, the right man is going to win. I just don't know why it is that the right man is going to win. But that's what the Gemora says. The Gemora says that it's going to end up in Beis Din and the right man is going to win.
Right.
Because it's going to be clear somehow to the Beis Din that the giver or the seller, whether we're talking about a case of a sale, whether they're talking about a case of a gift, the Beis Din is going to undoubtedly determine who the correct owner is, and they're going to conclude that it sounds like what the Gemara is saying is if you got document number one and document number two, and you know that document number two was written after document number one, somehow that proves that the Jew number two that's holding document number two is the true owner. I just don't know why it proves that. Maybe Rashi will explain. But that's what the Gemara is saying right here. Now, this is all true in the case of a matnas bori, says the Gemara. So therefore, it'll come out according to this that it said in the Brisa to return it, we're talking about the case of a matnas bori. So if he says return it, we give it back. We're not worried that he's going to be able to pull the wool over the Beis Din's eyes. But in the case of a matnas shchiv, says the Gemara, let's read on.
Matnas shchiv meira nami yihava ni hale. Even if he gave this property to the second person by means of a seriously ill person's gift, leis ba pisada, no undue loss to the second person can result from the return of this will for the following reason. Debas Raisa Zachai. Between two wills, the last prevails, and its beneficiary receives ownership of the property. Dika Hadar Beis Mikamaisa. Since by implementing the latter will, the benefactory retracted the earlier one. Thus, the second person will not be justified, will not be unjustly deprived of the property as a result of our returning this will. Accordingly, the Mishnah rules that we may return a lost will to its designated beneficiary if the beneficiary tells us to do so.
The benefactor.
I'm sorry, what?
Its benefactor tells us to do so. It's
Right,
not the same person.
right. The beneficiary and the benefactor that are the two different people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weiter?
Hard to tell. I think we should read some of these Rashis though.
Yeah. I have footnotes that we're skipping also.
Okay, let's have Phil read. Let's see, which ones did we do yesterday? We did the first one, Dibur Maskil Hababori. Rashi just explained to us what's the difference, technically speaking, between the what's written in this document, what's written in that document. And then the next Rashi is Davar Mahadar Lahu. Davar Mahadar Hu. Where's that going on?
Well, let's see which Rashis we're at. I don't know anymore.
Unless it's you say Dabar Mahadar Hu.
The thing, the Mahadar is that we returned it, right? Mahadar. Isn't Hadar returning? Like the Dalad's a Chazeh.
Oh, I think that is the way to say it. Iktani bebraisa api sheshnehem modim lo yachsir lo lazeh bebori dalav bar mahaderhu. He's not a bar mahader. Oh,
Trying to see where officially that Dvar Mahadar is, even on the Gemora. I see Hadar is a couple of I see it. It's almost to the top of the page, Dvar Mahadar too. Because he can go back on it. He can retract is the word for it. He can go back, Choser on it. Sheyachol Chazar, he can go back and change he can go back and retract it. Did not know. He could tract his gift.
Oh, I see. Masnisin diktani.
Im katav shnei starot. If he writes two of these stars, a sheni zoche. The second one is the one who merits it. His is the binding one. Shahari chazar bo because he's gone back on the first one. Once he's written the second one, it shows the first one's not important anymore, and the second one is now the overriding one. It's like a retraction of the first one. Once you write two documents.
Masnisin diktani. Oh, this is. Masnisin diktani. Masnin is. Okay, so that's the bar mahadar. That's the word. It's not davar mahadar. It's a bar mahadar. Like you have a bar mitzvah. You have somebody who's a bar mitzvah, and you have somebody who's a bar mahader. So a shchiv meira is a bar mahader.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, he's able to change his mind from the matana that he originally gave, even if he already gave the shtar to the recipient. So therefore, it makes sense that we say, it makes sense that in the case of a matnas shchiv, if he says tanu, give it to this guy, we give it because he's able to change his mind. Because we say what we said over there, Michael Memar. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And then it says im kamatnas bari, but if it's a gift to the healthy person, yahabara, you should give it nihilato. You should give it to him.
Eva minus
Tahu,
Bori. Yehiva. Yehava. Nehale. Lahahu Basra.
who Basra? Basra is like later on. It's the second one.
The second one here.
Yeah, the later one. It's the later one.
Yeah, he's Jew number 2. The Basra is Jew number 2.
And then you do give it to him. And then this lace lape Seder. We're up to this lace Seder. There's
Yeah.
no loss. There wouldn't be if lace lay Seder. There's no
There
loss.
there is no loss that's that's going to happen in
The
doing
high
so.
star, because the high star with that star document in Hadar lay the high that was returned to him is this.
With that star that's given that with that star number 1 that's given the Jew number 1, there's not going to be any fallout in doing so.
Because he's retracted it. So it's meaningless.
But Bori.
And a babari, but if it's a healthy person, kagon shahaya star there, because with this star there was hanimsa was found a matara bari. It's found to be a gift of a healthy person. Shehu zocher, because he merits lishtar.
Bori.
He gets it because of the later star to him. Because he can't go back on his gift.
Oh, so in the case of a Bori, what do we mean? We mean Kagon Shahaya Hashtar Ze Hanimsa Matnas Bori. We're talking about a case where the star that was found in the street was a star of a Bori. Shahu Zocha Lishtar Hamaucharlo. That he was Zocha in the later star from the benefactor. She'enu Yochol Achzor b'matanoso. He's not able to go back on his original gift. Oh, that's the next Rashi. De'i yahive yahivte le'inish achrina leis le'pseda.
I don't know if we got to that point.
No.
I'm trying to see where that is. I don't see that till later. We're talking about Chivmera or something. Do you see it there? Where is it in the Gemara? I don't see that. The East Lake.
De'i yahivte le'inish achrina.
This is giving it to another person. There would be no loss. I don't see whether giving it to another person is in this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's a little later on. That's after the Amrinan. I don't know if we went past the of Amrinan.
Okay. So
And actually, did we start with the Katani Brisa? I'm not sure we even did that part.
no, we didn't do that yet. Pikatani Babrisa.
Right, that's where it's coming in later. This thing's talking later after we talk about Katani Brisa. It's later on about the other one.
Oh, so we'll continue with the Gemora then. Ah. Okay, Lou, Kikatani Babraisa. Or you want to read the notes that you got up until now?
Uh,
That might.
yeah, let's read some notes. I got lots of notes that I skipped. Why does it prove that the beneficiary that the benefactor retracted when we see the two dates? The commentary is on the phrase is on the statement that it proves that the earlier will was retracted. Commentary says gifting property to another subsequent to a will constitutes a retraction of the will, according to Rashi. Tibur maskil davar mehadar hu. Therefore, the later date on the gift document provides sufficient evidence that the will was retracted and the beneficiary of the gift document is awarded ownership of the property. Okay, so now the next thing it says is even if he gave the property to the second person by means of a seriously ill person's gift. What is a seriously ill person's gift? It is a will. Okay. And now let's see, it says between two wills, the last prevails and its beneficiary receives ownership of the property. Since by implementing a later will, the benefactor retracted the earlier one. Footnote says the meaning of the term the last shifts in this segment of the Gemora. Whereas previously the Gemora used this term to refer to the second will, which bears a later date that is theirs, that that a later date than that of the first. Here, the term has the opposite meaning. It refers to the first will, which is now being given to its beneficiary upon the instructions of the benefactor. Thus, it is the document received at a later date.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure I follow that. Let me read that again, if you don't mind. The meaning of
confusing.
The meaning of the term the last shifts in this segment of the Gemora. Whereas previously the Gemora used this term to refer to the second will, which bears the later date than that of the first, here the term has the opposite meaning. It refers to the first will, which is now being given to its beneficiary upon the instructions of the benefactor. Thus, it is the document received at a later date. Oh, received at a later date as opposed to written.
Yeah.
I get it. In this case, the beneficiary of the second will loses the property to the beneficiary of the first will for the following reason. When the benefactor tells us to return the will to the first person, he is in effect returning the will that he gave to the second person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The first will, which was previously retracted in favor of the second one, is now reinstated, and its beneficiary acquires the property upon the benefactor's death.
Okay.
Since this retraction is legal, we may follow the benefactor's instructions and return the will to the first beneficiary.
Right.
That's according to Ritva.
Yeah, I think that there's a bit of a confusion over here. When you have a matnas shchiv meira, it's sort of like got the din of a will, meaning it's not absolute, right? A person could. But we said that the benefactor of a matnas shchiv meira, he could change his mind and decide to give it to Jew number two. That's what he did. And now he changed his mind a second time, and he wants to give it to Jew number one. Just like he changed his mind and decided to give it to Jew number two, he could also change his mind back and say he wants to give it back to Jew number one and cut out Jew number two. Because nothing, I think it's because that's the nature of a will. It's not, the giving is not, it's not a done deal. The benefactor could change his mind.
Right. The benefactor can change his mind, and if he changes his mind, it's valid. Because we don't have a situation where somebody can defraud somebody based on the different dates, like we did with the loan document.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you,
We just
Rabbi.
have to figure out. Yeah.
Okay. Take care.
All the best, everybody.
Well,
Have a
stay
great
safe.
day.
See you tomorrow.
Hashem Yishmor Aleinu.
Stay safe.
Yep. Yep.